Hello and welcome to the video instructions for my Great Ball Contraption module. This is designed to move balls something like this, about this size, up and down. It's somewhat of a mesmerizing action and can keep you entertained and is somewhat easy to make. The first thing you're going to want to do is create a structural frame like this, except you're going to want to make two of them, just in a mirror, and this is going to be the base of your GBC. So, you're going to want to have one hole here, and this is what the top piece is going to rest on. And I suggest making this all out of bricks with, bricks with holes, so you can attach things. And then you're going to want to have a beam right here, and then a little stopper, or an axle that acts as a stopper, to make sure that the back piece, which I'll show you in a little bit, can rest on it. So, once you have both of your frames, and now, you can see here that my frames are going to look a bit different than yours. Or, well, my second frame will look a bit different than your second frame because my two frames are a bit different from each other, but that's okay because they'll still work just fine. All you have to do is just make sure that they're going to fit together, and then also you can use some extra pieces to make it better. So basically, this is my second frame right here. So I have both frames right here. And the second thing we're going to do now is we are going to add this base piece. And if you don't have the base piece, I suggest you make it right now. So basically, there are two red 11 beams at the back, and then two 5s. And then it's composed of these two large wing-like pieces, and then it's stabilized on the back with two 7 beams. Now the first thing we're going to do is connect it to our first frame, and to do that we're going to put the first hole on that blue axle we have right there, and you can see it will rest on that stopper so it can't go down. And now, before you put on your next frame, we're going to attach the next pieces. And to do that, I'm going to show you this piece so you have some time to build it right now. And I'm just using these pieces, and on this third hole down you want to have a pin, and then also you want to have 2 pins on the back right here. So it's going to partially connect to the next part. And then the thing we want to do next is, if you can see this third hole over here, I want to put that frame in with that pin right there on that hole. And then it'll be like that. It's okay. It will be able to rotate a bit, but that will be fixed once we put on the next part. Now this is really the trickiest part of this whole thing, and that is putting in this second ramp piece, because we are only going to connect it to the piece before it partially. And what I mean is that basically I suggest putting this in right here. You're going to put it in the pin right below it. You can just see that hole right there. That's where you're going to put it. Put it in there. And then you're going to need, it will take some fiddling, but what you need to do is put these in here, lift it up so it'll rest on top of that pin I talked about earlier when we were making our frames. Now once you have it in like that, it'll be at an angle like that. And now, you want to partially, just partially, connect these two pieces together. It's okay if it comes apart. That's fine. But you're going to only put these pins in a little ways, and that's what I mean by partially, because otherwise it'll be at the same angle, but we don't want that. We want this piece to be at a little bit of a higher angle, so I'm actually going to take it apart right now, which might be a little easier for me and for you guys to see. But once we have this here, I'm going to put this back in where it should be, and it goes like that. Now we're just going to bring this up a little bit until it is resting here on top, just like that. It's resting on top of that piece. And then we're going to put that in right there. And then this is going to be like that. So we can see here that we have a little bit of a completed structure here. And so I'm going to slide these in a bit more. And you can see that once this rests on here, everything is kind of put together in one frame, which is good. And because these are just a little bit off, I'm going to put it in a bit more, make sure they're all connected, and then you're going to take your next frame, and you're going to, while making sure that you're putting everything in the holes that they need to go in, you're going to connect the next frame. And it shouldn't be that hard to do because you have the holes in the right locations. Some things might fall off, but that's okay. You can fix that. And good job, we're almost done. So, depending on how tall you like it, I feel like this angle is pretty good for my contraption, and that's pretty good for me. So I'm going to leave it right there. And now, I'm going to take this out of the way now that we have our structure completed. And now I'm going to show you the pusher mechanism. And I'm going to just take this apart right here. As you can see, this is, I believe, it's a 15 beam, and basically this is a 8-axle with stopper, and I've created some, basically a round cylinder that I put on the end with a little smooth piece. And then I just attach something else. And you can modify it depending on... Now, I'm going to bring my thing back here, but depending on where this is going to connect to the other piece, you want to make sure that it's pretty even and will fit down that easily, which mine does right now. So that's good. And then, you can see there's a non-friction pin right there. And what's important is that you take this 11 beam that I have here and put it onto that non-friction pin, but this 11 beam should be close to you, and then this should be farther away. So that means that this can freely spin here, and then that's good. So now we are going to create our little platform that we are going to have our gears on. That's going to really be the behind the scenes of how this is going to be pushed. So, right here, on the other side, I have a 6x brick, and then a 2x, and then I have a 8x8 plate right here, and then I continue building up for 6 bricks right here. So once you have that, if you bring back your frame, you can see that you just want to have this about 10. So it'll stick out a little bit, and then it will fit. And under here, actually, if you want to, you can put a thin plate. That will make it fit better. If you want, I just have it like that, and that's fine for me. Now we're going to make our gear system. And basically, it's a 6x2 plate, 2x2, and then this piece with holes right here. Maybe a bit difficult to see. That is 8 long. And then we have the same thing that we had on the bottom right up here. So that is going to go on top, right there. So we have that. And then also, I'm just going to put that right there so it is complete. And you can see, sorry about that, but you can see that we have this gear here that will spin, and I'm going to turn this around. But basically, when this gear spins, the thing we want to have spinning is this right here. And this is a 2x beam with an axle hole on one and a regular hole on the other. And then, if you take your pusher, you can experiment with the spacing, but you can have it that way. So basically, I want to be able to push this, and as you can see, it's going to start making this motion here. And then once I push it down, okay, so then that spacing was a bit too much, but then keep in mind that since you're just pushing it with your hand right now, it will run more smoothly once we put on the motor. And of course, you don't have to add a motor. I will be adding a motor, but of course you don't have to. You can run it by hand. And then the very last thing we're going to add are these two pieces right here, which I'll explain what they are in a second. Basically, you want to build it and then just put it on right there. And I'm going to do the same over here. And basically, the pusher will be able to push them up, and then it'll ride back down on it. Once it's pushed the balls, it'll ride back down, which is what we want. And then it'll come back through, and it'll start again. So now we have the final section, which is adding the motor. Of course, you can skip ahead if you don't want to do this. I've just created this little setup here with a worm gear, and I'm going to put that on the motor, push it in, and so I'm going to put, now I have sort of 6x bricks here that I have, and then I'm going to put this motor here, and it should reach that gear right there, and then it will spin it. And then I take this end, plug it into a battery box. You can use a different type of battery box, but there it is. And then if I push the green button, now that is the wrong direction, so we're going to do it the other way. And now you can see that your great ball contraption will hopefully be working just fine. Of course, you can add some modifications if you like, but I think mine's pretty good for right now. So, thanks for watching, and hope it works out for you.